So we have a new picture of this new 2024 Dodge Charger EV slash 2025, whatever. And this new picture that we have of the car is in a different color that we haven't seen before. We've seen it in various colors. We've seen it in the kind of destroyer gray, bluish color, wherever that color was. We've seen it in white. There's a video floating around of it sitting in like a parking lot in white. But now we get to see it in all black, and this time we have two of them. And I think the main thing with this particular car that that Dodge is missing is definitely on the design. And there's something that I think why a lot of people don't like this car. It's not because it doesn't have a V8 in it, which is, I know based on my comments, that's what everybody don't like about it. But I think there's something else that's missing with this particular car and what Dodge kind of missed with this design. So let's dive into this pictures a little bit, get a word from our sponsors, and drop the intro. Today's video is brought to you by CarLock, the world's best GPS tracking and alert system. With CarLock, you'll be able to get various alerts to monitor your car, such as vehicle movement, vehicle vibrations, engine starting. The unfortunate event that your CarLock gets disconnected, you will get an alert for that too. You can purchase your own CarLock by clicking on the link down below. That will give you a 10% discount on your CarLock purchase, as well as use my code to get a 14-day free trial with CarLock as well. Get you a CarLock. You deserve that peace of mind. Let's get into the video. YouTube family, what is going on? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. Thank y'all so much for tuning in to this video. If you are new here, we do a lot of car stuff on here, so make sure you lock it in, subscribe, so that way you don't miss all the car content that we got going on this channel, not just related to Dodge, some other stuff as well. But if you've already subscribed to the channel, I want to thank you so much for locking it in. But we will not hold you too long. Let's go ahead and hop into today's video. You see the title and you see the thumbnail, so we got some more pictures of this new Dodge Charger Daytona. This one's in a different color, like I said before, than we've seen on this car. But it's getting closer and closer to the time for this car to release. So we're going to start seeing it more and more. And they're still doing testing on this car. As anticipated, I think it's supposed to release sometime this summer. Forgot the quote. I think it's Q3, Q4, something like that maybe. But we're getting close to this car actually being released and whatnot. And I know a lot of us aren't excited about it, but unfortunately, this is the next generation of Dodge Charger. So like I said, we got some new pictures of it, and I kind of want to dive into it and see like if anything's changed with this car or whatnot. I don't anticipate a lot of changes with this car, but there's something about the design that I definitely is starting to click now why a lot of people may not like this particular car. So with the pictures here, I'm gonna just go and put the pictures up here so you guys can see here. So we got two black on black Dodge Chargers, and they're the Daytona ones. I think in one of the pictures you'll see that on the back bumper you can kind of see the Daytona stamped to the back bumper or whatnot, and they got like these things on the side of it, got something hanging out the trunk. I have no clue what they're trying to test with this car right now. And with these black wheels, and kind of looking at it with this first picture here, the car looks kind of wide. And I think we did talk about before that this car is kind of does have a wide body incorporated into it, kind of what everyone's been asking for when it came to these cars on the wide body. They hated the wide body fender flares, however you want to look at it. And they're trying to incorporate it into the wide body, incorporate the wide body into the actual car here. You see the Brembos on there. Looks like, standard, like the same 6-piston Brembos up front, I think. Looking at the back, I swear, and I can't really tell this here, that back brake, that back brake caliper looks kind of big, and I can't really see the size of the tire on this picture, but it looks kind of wide. I think this car's coming with 305s on here, so more than likely this isn't the Banshee. This is going to be, I'm pretty sure this is going to be the Scat pack, I think, or it could be the RT with some kind of upgraded tire package or something like that. So this is not really kind of the base model. This is definitely one of those that has, like, some power or whatnot to it. You got the spoiler on the back on one of them, and the other one doesn't have a spoiler on it. So I posted this picture on my community page. I posted on my Instagram as well. well in my Facebook page, and pretty much most of the comments about it are saying that they don't like the car, it's still ugly to them and what have you. Of course, you know, the biggest thing is that it doesn't have a V8. Now the thing is that people saying the car ugly is ugly and whatnot. If it having a V8, would that make people change its mind about it, right? And we know it's coming with the inline six. It's not all going to be electric for this car. I'm still want to know, like, you know, a lot of questions like how moddable is this inline six, like with the twin turbos, how much power we can get out of it. People are saying you can get 1,000 horsepower out of it on the stop block and without having to change anything on it for the most part. But that hasn't been seen yet, even though that engine is in like the in some cars right now. No one's really went in there and really tuned these things to the max and pushed them to the max, so we don't know what that's going to do. But that's not really my whole point of this video. The main thing with this car, and it kind of clicked to me, and I mentioned it on I actually said in someone's comments, my guys talking cars, y'all make sure y'all check them out, GTC. And I said it on their video. They had a video about you know, DODGE dead and kind of the things they're doing and whatnot about the design of the car and whatnot. And it kind of dawned on me, like when they started mentioning some other cars or whatnot, the thing with this Dodge Charger that is really kind of throwing people off for the most part is the fact that if you look at this Dodge Charger without all the badges on it or whatnot, you would not think this was a Dodge Charger. One of the biggest things when it comes to a brand or, you know, any manufacturer when it comes to cars and stuff like that, you want to have something that people can immediately recognize and know what that car is. For example, like let's talk about the Corvette, right? So the Corvette, they go from the C7, which is the last front engine car, to a C8, which is now their mid-engine car. Two different platforms, right? But the main thing with the car, even though the new car, when you first look at the car, you think it's Ferrari, but if you took the badges off, you would know it's not a Ferrari, but there's certain things on the car that would tell you that it is a Corvette. The headlights on that C8 does remind you of the previous generation Corvette. The tail lights on it still reminds you of the Corvette. The way they do the tailpipes on the car reminds you of the Corvette. Like, they do things with this car to still remind you that, yes, it's a Corvette. Even though the engine's in the back now, it's still a Corvette. And if you look at every single Corvette that has been made, C1, I mean, I think we started at C1 or all of them, right? They all share some design element that is the same. The tail lights, they have those, either those quad circle tail lights or have some variation of that. They always have that side vent that comes off the front. Flip up headlights, or some way those headlights incorporated to the hood. It may not be flip up. I know after, I think it's the C6 is the first year of those without having to flip out headlights. But yeah, that's the thing with the Corvette. You have some design elements in the car that will translate through every generation of the car. So when you look at it, no matter how you do the car, they keep those things the same. Like, you could change a lot of the body lines and things like that, which they've done, but they kept those elements the same. They also kept the overall shape of the car the same as well. But they've done a great job of, throughout the generation, just kind of, you know, updating it, modernizing it, but keeping those same, you know, design elements on the particular car. But we can say, you know, Corvette maybe is not considered you know, a muscle car or whatnot, but there's other companies that do that as well. Let's talk about the Mustang. The Mustang, they do this as well when it comes to designing their cars. I know a lot of people are, you know, talking about the new S650 Mustang and talking about how it looks like a Camaro and things like that. But one thing they've done true and kept true to themselves is that they kept some of the same design elements in this car that they've done with a lot of other cars. The taillights are usually the same. They do these like 3 bars or something like that on the taillights. They kept that the same. Usually in the middle of the trunk, there's a symbol. You usually have GT if it's the V8 version, or just a horse if it's a non-V8 version. Of course, if it's the Super Snake or Cobra or something like that, they usually have like a, you know, the snake on there and whatnot. They also have on the side, they usually have like a vent that goes towards the rear of the car, things like that. That's what they do with the Mustang, and they do that, and they've done that for several generations. They kept those same design elements from car to car to car to car, so that way, no matter what, those design elements are in the car, and that builds an identity for the Mustang. Like, if they just decided to change the taillights completely, they decide to take that vent away, stuff like that, it would kind of take away from it being a Mustang. You can't recognize it because of the fact that it doesn't have those like core design elements that they transfer from generation to generation to generation, right? A lot of other manufacturers do that as well. Like they take a car, when they redesign it, they keep some of the design elements the exact same, but change everything else so that way there's something that can remind you of the past. Like Dodge, with the Challenger, they did a really good job of that throughout the years. Granted, you know, they got rid of Challenger for now. I still think that's coming back in some form, but they could be lying to us or whatnot. But you know, the Challenger, the shape has stayed pretty much the same throughout the whole time, right? They really modeled the current Challenger, or the latest Challenger that we have, you know, after the 70s, kept the shape the same. And you can look at that silhouette from the 70s to the newest ones and be like, yeah, that's a Challenger no matter what. They kept the headlights, tail lights, they kept a lot of that stuff the same. Even gauges to a certain extent got some retro look to it, the way they have those numbers kind of flared out and stuff like that. They kept those elements there, but they modernized the car around those particular elements, right? However, with the Charger, they kind of went away from that to a certain extent, and that's why people are kind of like thrown back about this car. So when you look at this Charger, there's really, in my opinion, there's really nothing that points you towards a certain year or certain design feature that Chargers usually have. I mean, Dodge have kind of switched up how they did it or whatnot, but they haven't really kept with one thing. I know with far as like the 2010s up to now, they kind of have, they share some things a lot there, but this new one doesn't share any of that. And I know everybody's saying, well, it's supposed to look like a retro Charger. If you automatically if you just look at the car, I don't see, it's hard for me, and maybe I'm missing, it's hard for me to take this Charger and try to connect it to a Charger in the past. I can see where it may be inspired by Chargers of the past, but nothing says, hey, this is where they got this design element from. Like the overall profile of the car, it doesn't match any or come close to any other Charger ever built. I can't find one. I can't find a Charger that looks like similar to it. I got some that could be it. With it being a hatchback, I think it's a 1966 one. But even when I look at the 1966 Charger, nothing with that Charger still translate over to this one, even though it's a hatchback as well. Looking at the front grille, I get it. They have this, you know, this kind of flow wing or whatever, I forgot, R wing or whatever it's called. The grill, the front grill of it, it doesn't match up with any of the Charger. Yes, it's kind of squared off like a retro style Charger and stuff like that, but the actual grill itself doesn't mimic any Charger that I'm aware of. Now, unlike the Challenger, you can look at a 2014 Challenger and say, okay, that's a 1970 front end. If you look at the taillights, that's a 1970 tail light on the Challenger. Go to 71, that goes to the 2015 and up Challengers when it comes to the grill, headlights, and taillights and stuff like that. You can recognize it just like that. But with this Charger, you can't really do that. You're kind of guessing and kind of drawing your own conclusions as to what they got different design elements from. Like the taillights don't really resemble any Charger taillights. They look sort of kind of like the modern Charger taillights to a certain extent, but kind of not. The front end doesn't look anything like any of the Chargers. I mean, it's squared off, that's about it, but the grill doesn't really point to any particular year. Side profile doesn't really point to any particular year Charger. One thing I think they missed out on, which I think was easy, is the little side scoops that usually come on the Chargers. Now, the current generation that we have now, like the 2015 on the 2023s, they have that door scoop, those door scallops, whatever you want to call them, on them. The previous ones had the same thing, like the 2014 Chargers, they had those door scallops on them as well, scoops, whatever you want to call them. And the ones from the 70s, like I think it was a 68, 69, 70, I think those Chargers had kind of those door swoops on them too, those door scoops on them as well. And that's something that you can kind of tell with it being a Charger. And I think this Charger not having that makes it look really plain, as there's no connection to anything else out there. I feel like, honestly, like when I saw this car in white, it just looked so plain and bland. It had like no personality or anything like that. Yes, I know it's an EV, and we say EVs don't have personality, but I just feel like the design just feels so plain. Like if they just put those door scoops in the car, just something to connect it to the other Chargers, then we got something that kind of relates back to the other ones, and you can look at it and say, oh, that's a Charger. But without any emblems on the car, there's nothing on it that really points to it being a Charger at all whatsoever. And that's really what I'm thinking. Like, I'm thinking, and I'm seeing that Dodge is lacking some sort of identity when it comes to these cars. You got to have something on these cars that tells you it's a Dodge or whatever it is. Now, you guys might not agree with me on this one. I know the Hornet, we all hate the Hornet, but with the front end of the Hornet, if you look at it, the front end of Hornet looks kind of like a Dodge Charger widebody to a certain extent. Just because of how the grill kind of has that little slit in it, things like that. It looks kind of like a widebody Charger. They use that same kind of style in one of the Durango years. I forgot what year. It's been a couple of years. They kind of, I know the Trackhawk is a Jeep and it's kind of the same family, but kind of not. They kind of had that same grill layout with that as well. So they had some things where they kind of, you know, take those same amount of those same design elements and put them in different cars and things like that. And this Charger doesn't follow any of that whatsoever. Like even other manufacturers, even Toyota, like when it comes to Camry, they updated the Camry, but there's still, if you look at it from year to year, there's still something that kind of carries over from the previous year. They don't completely just change it with like a different car. They take some things, keep them, but change some other things as well. Honda, same thing. Pretty much a lot of manufacturers do that. Because if you just go in there and just change everything, you lose the identity of what the car actually is. And that really goes back to kind of like what I was seeing in the comments. I had so many people in the comments saying various things of what the car looks like. Some people said it looked like a Mustang. Some people said the rear end looks kind of like a Nissan 400, whatever that the Nissan is. I can't think of it off the top of my head right now. They were saying all these different things about how the car looks. Like they was thinking about other cars. And I feel like if your car doesn't remind you of what the car is supposed to be, then you kind of failed as a design, right? Your car can't sit there and you start thinking about cars that's not even in its class. Like, how you gonna look at this car and be like, oh, this car looks like a Nissan from behind, or this car looks like this other car from this angle and stuff like that. And that's kind of where Dodge is falling short. They have no identity, they have no direction where they're going with this car, and people are just, you know, not feeling the design. Personally, I just wish Dodge would have did one or two things. Either took the current design of the car, retweaked it, redesigned it based off the current look of the car, and went forward with that, because we already know the current design is what people like, and what have you, and it's been selling really well. Granted, I know it doesn't really connect with the past Chargers, but it does at least connect with some of the past, like a couple of past generations and whatnot. Or if they was gonna go with this retro look, really look at one of these Chargers, one of the year Chargers, and really say, okay, let's carry everything over that we can from this Charger so people can look at this front grille, look at the tail lights, look at the side profile, and be like, hey, that is modeled after this year Charger. They should have went one of those directions, but I feel like with this car, they went neither. They didn't stay close to the current design, and they didn't go all the way in on the retro design. Of course, like I said, it is more boxier, like a retro car, but at the same time, it doesn't connect with any of the retro Chargers at all. You can look at different Chargers and see different things, but it's not like, okay, this car came from that. So those are my thoughts on that. How do you feel? I mean, I guess I already know. I know how you guys feel about the design of this Charger. Like, what would you have liked to see with the design of the Charger? Let's take the V8 out of the equation. What I'm hearing people saying is this car is ugly. What about this design do you feel like needed to change? Like from my standpoint, put the door scoops in there and go all in. Either go all in retro or tweak the current new design. Go one of those directions, but I feel like I said, they went neither. So let me know what you guys think. And if you made it this far in the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We do a lot of car-related things on this channel, and we want you around for all that, so you can stay updated to everything that we got going on. We're going to catch you on the next video. We are out. Cut it.